Respected Speaker, Padma Shri Dr. V. Mohan, respected members of Joseph D. Padayatty Memorial Science Club, Dr. Saridaji Bhatt, faculty, researchers, and students. A very good morning to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the second Joseph D. Padayatty Memorial Lecture, jointly organized by the Department of Biotechnology and Joseph D. Padayatty Memorial Science Club. It is a special day today. Today we gather here not only to attend an academic lecture, but also to remember and honor Joseph D. Padayatty, a teacher and scientist whose passion for science and education continues to inspire us all. A memorial lecture is a wonderful way to keep his legacy alive by inviting eminent speakers to interact with students, researchers, and faculty. So it is, and we are especially fortunate today to have Padma Shri Dr. V. Mohan with us, India's most respected physician and scientist, and a name which is synonymous with excellence in diabetes care and research. Through his clinical practice, he has touched lives of hundreds of thousands of patients through dedicated diabetes care centers. And beyond his research metrics, I think all of you might have gone through his CV, and you would have found that there are around 2,000 papers, H-index of around 175. What inspires me more is that he has shown us how clinical practice and research can go hand in hand. We were talking to him before this, and he also mentioned that he's good at everything, and he showed us how he is managing time from the age of 16. So he is good at athletics, he is good at writing, he is good at debates, he is a good doctor, he is a good researcher. So I think we will hear him talk, and I think the young generation will be inspired after listening to his thoughts and experiences. So, sir, we are immensely proud from all of us at COSAT to welcome you. And I, on behalf of the Department of Biotechnology and Joseph D. Padayatty Memorial Science Club, wholeheartedly welcome you to this program. I also welcome members of Joseph D. Padayatty Memorial Science Club, Dr. Joe Thomas, Sebastian Padayatty, to this program. I welcome Senior Professor Dr. Saridaji Bhatt, faculty and students, and invited guests to this program. And I hope you all have a very enriching and memorable experience. And I also would like to sincerely appreciate the effort of Joseph D. Padayatty Memorial Science Club for partnering with us to organize such a meaningful event. Thank you and welcome all. Now I invite Dr. George Thomas to say a few words about Dr. Joseph D. Padayatty.
Good morning to all of you. I am here to talk about my mentor and guru, Professor Joseph Padayatty. I went to IISc to do PhD, and I was lucky enough to get into the lab of Professor Padayatty. At that time, there were two projects running in his lab. One was on phage, which is known as colitis phage, which was isolated from the stools of a patient in Lucknow who had diarrhea kind of situation. So Professor Padayatty wanted to do something useful for humanity and especially of relevance to India. So this is, an organism that is isolated in India. So he wanted to understand this and also to explore the possibility of using it as a vector, although it didn't work out, but that was the intention. So it's a beautiful system, the colitis phage. It multiplies very quickly. You inoculate in a culture of E. coli. In the morning you come, there is no E. coli, it looks like water. Everything is lysed. So it's a fantastic phage to work with. And normally people finish PhD in 3 to 4 years if you work on colitis phage. There's another project going on in his lab which is about rice. So rice is a very important thing. Food material feeds more than half the people of the world. So he wanted to understand more about the mechanisms that operate in rice. That's a very difficult project, and students usually take 6, 7, 8 years to complete the projects. So all my friends in IISc told me, go and get that colitis project. But unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. Along with me, another student was taken, that is Haren Vasavada. He is a brilliant microbiologist, came from MS University of Baroda, having great expertise in microbiology. So obviously he was the more suited person for microbiology. So Professor Padayatty told me, see, colitis work is too simple. You work on rice. So sort of condemning me to, hard work and all that. But actually it turned out to be very good because I could do a lot of good work in rice. But it was not easy. I think all people here, if you want to do research, you should understand PhD is not a cakewalk. If you want to do good PhD. And so I started my work. I tried this and that. He told me, you work on ribosomal RNA gene or tRNA gene. I was not excited because these are all structural material. They don't, they're not like enzymes and all. They don't do much biological work. They're just machinery. I wanted something more significant. See, the point that attracted Professor Padayatty to rice and also me to rice is the fact that in the rice seed, in the embryo, everything is kept ready for it to grow into a plant. And all it needs is a drop of water. If you put a little water to this rice, it absorbs the water and immediately starts making proteins, starts growing, developing into a new plant, the roots, shoot, everything comes out. So how does that happen so quickly? You put water, next day you will see it sprouting. So what happens in rice embryo is that, the tRNAs, the messenger RNAs required for, immediate cell replication, all are already there, prepared and ready. If you give water, the ribosomes immediately go into action, start making proteins. So one such protein is histone. There are 4 histones, and so the histones are required for DNA replication. So if the cells have to divide, obviously histones have to be made. So the histone messengers are present there. And luckily, during our time, Padayatty's early student, Sushil Devare, he had come to IISc to run a workshop with a lot of research material. Those days, we can't get any research material for cloning and all that. In India, it is not available. We can't even import. So luckily, he got a diplomatic passage and he brought a lot of material, which he almost completely used for his workshop. But I took, there was some radioactivity, I think it was gamma labeled ATP or something. He used it completely. I told him, don't throw the vial. I'll take the vial, the empty vial. I washed it, and with that wash, I did so much work for my PhD that I got a publication. I could sequence, at least partly, not fully, the first sequencing of a gene. I could do with that wash from an empty vial. Okay, so that is the kind of training that Professor Padayatty gave us. Even if you don't have great facilities, great money, great reagents, you should be able to thrive in that. So, Professor was very strict as a PhD guy, and even our friends in other labs, they'll come to the lab door, see Professor is there, and then run away. I mean, he was not a terror or anything, but people were just scared of him. But there was another side to him. He was a very jovial person. In the evening, 5 o'clock, he'll come to the lab, start chatting with us, cracking jokes and all that. And the moment you submit your PhD thesis and your Viva is over, you are declared fit to have PhD, he invites you for a dinner at his home. And we students all used to look forward to it. And then from that day onwards, he's a friend. He is no longer your guru. So after he retired, he settled in Karagutti, which is near Angamali. And Sebastian is his son. He is also now currently daily coming from there. He lives in Bangalore, but right now he's in Karagutti. So I used to go to Karagutti and visit him once in 3-4 months after he retired and settled in Karagutti. And it gave him immense joy to see his previous students. I used to go regularly, and some USA people used to come occasionally and visit, and he was very, very happy. He was thrilled to have. So, he was that's why I said in the beginning, my guru and my friend. So, he was both to me. He helped set up the biotechnology department here when it was started. I think Professor Paulos and Chandrasekharan were there. None of the others were there, I think. Yeah. So he was an advisor, and he was also in the board of studies. I also happened to be in the board of studies for some time. He tried to make a lot of changes here, but the system wouldn't permit it. For example, he wanted to have a credit-based system of teaching where you have core courses and you have other courses, which are not compulsory. And you have a choice to take whatever you want. Suppose you are doing biology, biotechnology, and you want to learn a little bit of physics, you can go and take a course in physics, which will become part of your curriculum. So he wanted things like that. But unfortunately, at that time, the system was so designed that it was not possible. But today, I think the NEP stipulates that kind of thing, although the facilities are not suitable yet, I think. So anyway, he had a great vision forward, and I'm so blessed to be his PhD student, and it was my honor, it is still my honor to, institute a lecture series in his name. Me and Sebastian Padayatty, we are both working every year on organizing this. We try to bring eminent scientists, and we are so grateful to Dr. Mohan, who is an extremely busy person, and he spared the time to come here. In fact, you are very lucky to have to listen to a talk by Dr. Mohan. And with that, I'll stop my brief talk and invite Sarida to talk a little bit about the department and its genesis and things like that. Thank you.
Namaste and good morning to everyone. Thank you, Dr. George Thomas, for this invitation. Regarding the Department of Biotechnology and Professor Padayatty. Department of Biotechnology actually started functioning as Department of Biotechnology from 1991. Okay, before that, it was Center for Biotechnology, and it was initiated in the Department of Applied Chemistry. So you can see we have long years that have been spent trying to shine this department. and the contributions of the faculty who have been here in the department have been immense. Dr. Paulos, Dr. Chandrasekharan, Dr. Selvam, Dr. Padmanam Vishan, and today we have, I should say, a star cast of 10 faculty and other fellows who contribute to ensuring that the Department of Biotechnology shines brightly as ever. When I joined in 1999 in the Department of Biotechnology, Professor Padayatty was emeritus scientist in Department of Biotechnology. And you should understand that he used to take classes, at least for some of the classes, for the master's students. And I think that it was a great privilege for the students, because experience teaches differently. And the students who were then there, I think that was the 98 batch onwards, who were exposed to interactions and discussions with him. So it was really great having them. We had also Dr. Vijayan in our department for some time, Dr. Joy, all of them as emeritus scientists, as other fellows and so on. So they have contributed immensely to the student motivation, to ensuring that the students do what they need to do, ensuring that the research climate in the department is nourished. Because you always need someone with a lot of experience to be the guiding hand, always, regardless of how experienced or how young or how old your department is. Yeah. So, Department of Biotechnology is indeed privileged to have with us today Dr. V. Mohan, Padma Shri, who is also chairman, Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, and Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center in Chennai. Many of us here have only a few alphabets after our name. You know, the master's students would probably be a BSc, the PhD students would have an MSc, the teachers would have a PhD. Dr. Mohan is an MD FRCP with a whole lot of many alphabets, which are all accomplishments from various institutions across the globe. He oversees a chain of 50 diabetes centers across 8 states of India, has over 7 lakh diabetes patients who are registered in his electronic records, and he is chairman of the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, which is an ICMR collaborating center of excellence and Asia's largest standalone diabetes research center. You know, his main research interests are epidemiology of diabetes and its complications, genomics of diabetes, including monogenic diabetes, precision diabetes, and nutrition in diabetes. As already mentioned by Professor Parvati, he has more than 1,800 publications in peer-reviewed journals with an H index of 175, an I-10 index of 1227, and so on. Remarkable accomplishments. And he's ranked around about the top 12% of scientists in the world by Stanford University, and also among the top 0.01% of researchers in type 2 diabetes by ExpertScape PubMed. He has trained a large number of physicians and diabetologists, in addition to dietitians, educators, nurses from India, and several other countries. He has received over 240 awards, including the Dr. Harold Rifkin Award and Dr. Kelly West Award by the American Diabetes Association, the FRCS from the Royal Society of Edinburgh, and he has been awarded the inaugural European Association for the Study of Diabetes Diabetes Global Impact Prize in September 2005. And his Padma Shri, in recognition of his great accomplishments, was awarded in 2012. He provides lifelong free treatment to thousands of patients, poor patients, through the free diabetes clinics that is established and has conducted over more than 25,000 free diabetes camps. Okay? Along with this Sri Satya Sai organization with which he is closely associated. He inherited his passion for diabetes treatment and research from his father, Dr. M. Vishwanathan, who established one of the earliest diabetes specialties hospitals, the MV Hospital of Diabetes, in 1941 in Chennai. He has also published nearly 40 books on various subjects ranging from diabetes, wellness, motivation, and spirituality. His autobiography, Making Excellence a Habit, The Secret to Building a World-Class Healthcare System in India, was published by Penguin India. His book, Banting, Bose and Beyond, was published by Notion Press, and they are all bestsellers on Amazon. I think the students here would recognize Amazon. So I request all of you to give an ovation to our speaker, an eminent speaker, and we are greatly privileged to have him here talk with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sarita. Now the inaugural session is over. Now I hand over the mic to Dr. V. Mohan while the table is being removed so that we can have a better view of the slides.
Tangaraj from CCMB, whom I also collaborated in the past. I understand the first lecturer. I've been reading about Professor Padayatty and also heard so much about him the last 2 days, both at dinner yesterday and this morning. Great people like this are few and far between. And when some of you were asking just before I entered the hall, what is the criteria to become a scientist? You need many more Professor Padayattys. Because unless you have a mentor, it's very difficult to do research. If I have been successful in my life, not only my father, but there were other professors in the medical college who recognized talent and encouraged me. So you need a mentor. If you find a good mentor, stick on to them, because they will be able to take you very far. Because a mentor is not interested in promoting themselves, but in their mentees, promoting their mentees. And that's the quality of a great mentor. And the secret to doing research is to find good mentor. The other secret is to trust and to have a lot of collaborators. I know there have been, I don't want to mention name, but some people from Kerala who are colleagues and in other disciplines also, when I tried to collaborate with them, they would not collaborate. They said no, we get cheated too many times. So we don't want to give our data, we don't want to give, collaborate. Finally you take away all our data, you won't put our name, you won't do this, you won't do that. If you have that kind of an attitude, you cannot grow. Because you can either have a small cake, a cake as big as this, in which you are the owner of the whole cake, you can eat the whole cake. Or you can have a cake as big as this room, in which you are given only one slice. There will be 1,000 slices of that, and you may have only one slice, but that slice will be 10 times bigger than your cake. So you must have both. So what I have learned is that, yes, build your own small research projects which you do with total control of, but never be scared to collaborate. In this day and age, you cannot cheat somebody and get away with it. One letter somewhere on social media post and you are finished. Your whole career is gone. You cannot do all that. You collaborate with 100 people, 99% will be successful, 1% will cheat you, that fellow will be thrown out soon. Don't worry about that one fellow. But that don't be without collaborating with 99 people. I'm just telling you all before my talk, because some of you asked me how to do research and so on. India today is at the cusp of becoming a very great nation. Sometimes we boast and we boast too much that we already reached there. No, we're not reached there. We're getting there. We are slow and steady. Listening to a speech of Jawaharlal Nehru, his first television interview, somebody sent it to me. Salim Yusuf actually, after we spoke, he sent it to me late last night and said, listen to this speech, 1952 or 53, just after India got independence. The British were questioning him. How do you know you are a prime minister, you were in jail earlier, what do you think about British? So many things he was asking. And he was saying one constant theme is he was saying it's all about collaboration. It's all about joining forces together, joining hands together. Our strength is that. So once you collaborate within Kerala, and then within the rest of India, and then within the world, the whole world is yours. And don't worry whether you're first author, last author, don't worry about it. You do your best, and then you will find soon you can reach great heights. So paying my respects to Dr. Joseph Padayatty, and once again thanking Dr. Sebastian Padayatty and George Thomas and the rest of you for inviting me here. Let me formally thank the organizing committee and its department for holding this lecture. Is clear? One or two lights, please stop. Okay. So when I was planning what to talk, there are many things I could have talked about. I'm coming to a university, I could have just given a small a talk only on genomics or something very, very pure science. I could have done that. But I thought there's a mixed audience, and I thought instead of going to just talking on all my work on genomics or monogenic diabetes, which is my passion, neonatal diabetes below 6 months of age is my passion, I'll give my life for it. But I didn't want to take only one topic. I thought I'd give a broad outline about diabetes, bringing research here and there. Because today, even yesterday, there was an announcement in the paper from the government saying that while publications are very important, they are not enough. While patents are important, that is not enough. You must change lives of people. If whatever you do in terms of research or anything you do is not helping the common man on the road, it's a complete waste of time. You get a lot of glory, you get a lot of awards, you will get a lot of what? How does it help the man on the road? That's why Mahatma Gandhi said, whatever you do, you think of the man on the road and say, is it going to help 1% of those people to improve 1% of their life? If not, don't do it. It's a waste of time. Do something else which can help to improve. So ultimately we are all here to improve humanity. So that is why I titled it as Diabetes in Indians, Challenges and Opportunities. That's our research center. Welcome was asking about our Siriseri Center. That's our big Siriseri Center and Women's Biotech Park. And that's our hospital which is currently going to undergo a major rebuilding. We're going to demolish the whole thing and put up a big building in the next few months. So I have no conflict of interest to declare. ICMR has funded many of my studies. So this is my structure of my talk. I'm going to talk about something about the prevalence of diabetes. We're not talking about some rare condition, but something which affects all of you. And if I just ask you a show of hands, you don't have to tell me that you have diabetes. But anybody in your family, including you, has diabetes, raise your hand. No, every hand doesn't work. Okay? So there's virtually nobody whose life is not touched. Probably nobody in the room doesn't have a close relative with it. That's how common it is. And then how we have adopted technology, since it's the science and technology university, I have to bring in something about technology, all developed in-house only. We have not borrowed something from the West, but how we have used that to touch lives of people. And I'll talk about 2 or 3 things there. So, first of all, I joined my father in 1971 as a first-year medical student, as mentioned. And in 72, the first multi-center ICMR study was published. Although it's called ICMR and multi-center, what they did was, Trivandrum was included by the way. There were, I think, 6 cities in India and 6 villages near those 6 cities. 1 village was taken. So 6 villages and 6 cities. That was a very good study. And at that time, the prevalence of diabetes is 2% among adults. Now this is about 20 years of age. So adults in the big cities of India, 2 out of 100 had diabetes. And in the villages, it was about 1%. Now over the years, slowly the diabetes started increasing. But there is a line here, which I used to have in some of my slides. And that line is, 2 things happened which increased the diabetes. One was, India didn't have enough food. So we were importing food from the United States. Up to 1960s, PL480 scheme. All the ships will arrive, usually they come to Chennai. And then the headline in the next day in the newspaper, India has food for 2 more weeks till the next ship comes from US. It's like the oil coming from Iran now. We were literally living like that. Then C. Swaminathan and C. Subramaniam and M. S. Swaminathan said this cannot go on. We have to build our own. We have to have our own farmers grow wheat and rice. That's how the Green Revolution came. So the Green Revolution coming, we didn't need importing rice or wheat from the United States. But still people are poor. They didn't have enough money to buy the rice, or maybe there the food corporation nobody will buy it because there's no money to buy the rice. The real change occurred in 1991. India went completely bankrupt. And you have not seen the recent movie called Governor. It talks about RBI, the Reserve Bank of India Governor, Mr. Venkatraman from Chennai, who told the government, we have to sell all the gold. In fact, they sold the gold. From India, gold was actually sent because there's no money. And India was totally bankrupt because India took a stance, oh, we can manage. That arrogance, we always have, as in we still have it. We do 10 and we say we are 10,000. China will do 10,000 and say only 10. They'll never talk, they only do. We in India, we do 10, we just exaggerate and we say as if we have achieved everything in the world. I think humility is something very important. Up to 1991, India said, oh, we don't need the rest of the world. Nobody can come here. We will do everything on our own and it will completely matter. And then 1991, we had to open up the borders. And that was the real growth of India. When everybody started coming to India, we started really growing. So the real economic growth of India came in 1991. People had more food, people had jobs, they could earn. But then what do they do when they get that? They'll buy a scooter, they'll buy a car, they start eating more, they start exercising less. And guess what? That leads to diabetes. Okay? So we have a close correlation with India's economic growth. I'm not saying, so when I wrote my first paper some years ago, and a British guy, an arrogant British reviewer wrote, I think we have a solution for you, we'll come back and make you poor again. Then all your diabetes will go back. I said, thank you, you stay there. We know how to manage our diabetes. We don't need you to come back here and teach us that. So what we have to do is to also realize that in affluence, there is also risks involved in it. When you eat too much and so on. Very clearly shown here, if you look at 1991, next one is in double figures, from 5 is gone to 11. Okay? Now these studies are isolated. You find some Kerala studies, Ernakulam study is there, but only Ernakulam was done. There's another Kerala study, again, only small parts of Kerala and so on. So, while these studies are very important, they are completely not comparable at all. But even with that heterogeneity, you can see how it's gone. 2, 4, 5, 11, 12, 14, 19, 20, 22, 25. Now this 25 was 10 years ago what we did, the big car study funded by NIH is still going on. In Delhi and Chennai, 2 cities are being studied year after year after year after year for 15 years they're studying. 10, 11 years ago when we studied, already in Delhi and Chennai it's about 25% of the population. Today it's more than 30%. That means if you study, and that's not only true for Delhi and Chennai, if you study Kochi also it will be the same, maybe a little lower. Okay? So what does that mean? If you study 100 people above the age of 20 living in these population-based representative sample. They are not selected sample of some rich people. They are complete Chennai, complete Delhi, according to the census, according to the population distribution, with good statistical inputs. Okay, 25%, 1 in 4 of adults. Okay, those of you who are skeptic will say, but that means 3 out of 4 are not diabetic. Yes, there's a catch there. This is about 20 years of age. That's not the age when you get type 2 diabetes. If you now in the same study, if you look at those above 50 years of age in Chennai and Delhi, it's 50%. 50%. Stand on the road and see anybody going, little gray hair above 50 years, 1 out of 2 is diabetic. Then you say another 50% is not diabetic. 25 to 30% of the rest are having pre-diabetes. So it's 80% of all people at age 50. That's not seen in many other countries in the world. That's very, very high. Only in some Pima Indians, some Nauru Indians, some small captive populations, only aboriginals, as you mentioned yesterday in New Zealand or Australia, only they have. But here the whole country is having. Okay? So what's happening to rural? Rural was very low, always about half, but you can see in Kerala, 18% and 14%, so catching up. We finished the INDAB study, and I'll show you the INDAB study. We finished the entire INDAB study, the whole country. Now, rural Kerala is more than urban Kerala. It's beaten. It's only state where rural is actually higher than, Kerala is different in every way. Okay? Cannot compare with any other state. Tamil Nadu may come close, but we cannot compare with Kerala. Okay? So that's the rise from 2% to 25% in about 50 years' time. What went wrong? Well, many things went wrong. One is, of course, we became richer, so we bought cars, we don't exercise, we don't do anything. So many things happen. We'll talk about that a little bit more. While all this is going on, next generation came along, my daughter. If I started working with my father from medical college, she started working from school itself. In fact, my grandson, who's 18, who's just the NEET results came yesterday and he's done very well. He's going to get into one of the medical colleges in Kerala. He had a poster in the American Diabetes Association last week. He's only 18 years old. He already had a poster. So we get these guys to, join very early. So that's the other thing. Don't wait till you finish your MSc, finish your PhD, finish this, finish that. Start young. Even if it's a small project, just get interested in it. That fire must be lit in your belly. Then there's no stopping it. That fire will go on and on and on. Okay? And even age can't stop you. Nothing can stop you. Because you have that appetite already built up. So when my daughter was seeing all those data, in fact, she saw that slide. And she said, "What are you doing, Papa? You're saying India. And you're doing everything in Chennai. Chennai is not India," she said. I said, "Chennai is also India." She said, "But Chennai is not India. Chennai may be India, but India is not Chennai." So I said, "What are you saying?" She said, "We have to study the whole country." I said, "Are you crazy? Studying Chennai itself is too big for me. I am a doctor, seeing patients. Studying whole Chennai is too big a job for me." She said, "I didn't ask you to study. I want to study. Please let me study." I said, "We're going to go to Manipur, Nagaland, Punjab, Bihar, UP, all these places?" She said, "Yes, I'm going to go." So I went to ICMR and I said, "This daughter of mine, I can't say no to her. You say no to her. She's got too crazy an idea." He said, "Who said it's crazy? If somebody is bold enough to do it, we will fund it." So I was trapped, so I couldn't do anything. So that's how the ICMR INDIAB study, which is now famous, funded by Indian Count Medical Research, became the largest epidemiological study ever done in the world on diabetes. Entire 1.5 billion people of India surveyed, every state in the country, every union territory, every island in the country, including Lakshadweep and Andaman, Nicobar, Diu, Daman, Diu, everything, every single, including Kashmir. Every part has been surveyed in the study. Okay, 124,000 people. Many papers came out. That's my daughter. So this is the 17th paper from INDIAB, which came out. This is a master paper. This is published in Lancet Diabetes. And this has the master report, not just of diabetes, but diabetes, pre-diabetes, obesity, abdominal obesity, dyslipidemia, hypertension, in every state of the country, proper representative sample. If you take INDIAB study, and you take the last census, the current census only delayed and is going on now, we have to take the 2011 census, and if you plot it, it's exactly the same, one over the other, because we took the Population Institute to do the study. Fantastic representation. So this gave the actual numbers for India, for various things. So let's look at diabetes. So the overall prevalence of diabetes, now this urban is not the big cities. Everything is included. If you come to Kerala, which we did, Kerala also finished, Kottayam will be included, Koilan will be included, Ernakulam will be included, Trivandrum will be included, Kannur will be included, everything. Whatever the computer picks, proportionate to the population, it is fixed. Okay? So now the prevalence of diabetes in urban areas, including tier 2, tier 3, everything, is 16%. In the cities, it's 25-30%. Rural is about 8 to 9%. I just now showed you Kerala, 14%. Kerala is not representative of the rest of the country. There are places like Jharkhand where it's 2%, 3%. So poor, so thin they are. The BMI is 18. They're undernourished. So when you take India, it becomes different. Now this shows the state-wise. If you look at UP as the lowest, thankfully, UP with a population of 280 million people has only 4% prevalence. Then it goes on and on and on and on, and Kerala is there, 25.5%. The two which are above Kerala are two small places, Puducherry and Goa. Okay? So if you look at proper states of India, Kerala, and that's not much different, 25.5, 26, 26.4. 25% of the whole of Kerala. It's not urban, rural, nothing. Everything put together, 1 in 4 of all Keralites have diabetes, above the age of 20 years. This is startling. Okay? Very few countries have 20%, 25%. So you have one of the highest prevalence of diabetes in the whole country. And that's the diabetes prevalence, urban, rural. You can see that it's the same. I won't say it's higher. Urban is 26.4 and rural is 24.6. And very soon this will go up. And pre-diabetes is actually higher in rural. 20%. That means they are going to convert much faster. Very soon, this will overtake that. And if you look at the total, add these two, rural is actually higher. 40% of all people in Kerala, 44% have either diabetes or pre-diabetes by age 20 and above. Frightening. It's really frightening. I thought I should show you these slides because I am presenting here. Okay. So from this, we also got the total numbers for India, 101 million people with diabetes in India. 136 million people with pre-diabetes. These are people who will convert to diabetes quite soon. And in earlier studies, we have shown the conversion from pre-diabetes to diabetes is one of the highest in India compared to any other country, compared to Europe, compared to US, compared to anybody else. Despite being relatively thinner, we convert faster. Even if you take the numbers right now, it is 101 million for diabetes and 136 million. Do the maths, add both together, 237 million people in India with diabetes and pre-diabetes. How many countries in the world have 237 million population? Tell me, just take a rough guess. There are about 200 countries in the world, 220 countries in the world. How many will have a population of the total population of the whole world about 230 million? Anybody? 10? 10 or 15? One more guess? 6. There are only 6 countries in the world, whole world. India is number 1, China is number 2, 3 is US, 4th I think is Indonesia, 5 is Brazil, and 6 is something else. Nigeria, somewhere. 6. There are only 6 countries in the world which have a population above this. So if just the people of India, diabetic and pre-diabetic put together, it will be the 7th largest country in the world. So you can imagine why I am saying it is not to frighten you. Imagine the challenge of giving quality care to all of them. Others have to worry about, first of all, they don't have 25%. They have some 8%, 6%. Australia has 25 million population. That's the number of new children born in India every year. We are adding one Australia every year. And they talk about, oh, we are able, and they have some 5% population diabetes. Okay. Oh, we give great quality care to our people. International conference. I'll say, thank you. You come and do it in India for us. We invite you. You come. Take over our health ministry. Do it for us. Let's see. And they'll keep quiet, you know. So we have a huge problem. Even in Kerala to do it, it's not easy, but you're one of the best. And look at hypertension, 315 million. That's US population. That'll be 3rd largest country in the world. Okay. And then you've got obesity, 351 million people with abdominal obesity. Okay. And cholesterol and so on. Right. Why is Indians so much prone to diabetes? This is a question I have been working on for the last 25, 30 years now, trying to find out why. Because when I worked in the UK as a Wellcome Trust Fellow in London, I found diabetes rates are double in Indians. Gestational diabetes rates are double. So I started working on that as a Wellcome Research Fellow and said, there must be some reason. One of the simple things I did was, there was a big UK PDA study going on. So I told my boss, let's look at insulin levels, insulin resistance. This must be something different. Nobody had studied it in 1984, 85. Nobody had studied it. So she said, all the samples are sitting in the lab. You go, talk to your biochemist. And so I went to the biochemist, said, I'm a research fellow. Can you look out? And they said, we already measured all the insulin. I said, can I look at it? All I'm asking you is give me the data. I'll look at it. When I looked at it, I found that the Indian with the same weight, same waist, same gender as the white European had higher insulin level. They had much higher insulin level. So I presented this at the British Diabetic Association, and Bob Turner, who was doing the UKPDA study, he came and he saw my poster and he said, Mohan, you know what? Either you're terribly right or terribly wrong. Either way, it's important to know. If you're terribly wrong, withdraw this thing quickly and get rid of it. If you're terribly right, you hit the jackpot. So then I said, what should I do? He said, do some clamp studies. And there you can prove the insulin resistance. So I had to recruit people, match them for age, gender, BMI, waist, all that I did. And I proved that insulin resistance was higher. That was the first time that an ethnic difference in insulin resistance had been shown anywhere in the world. That is a 1985 Diabetology paper, which you'll see here. Subsequently, we have described 12 different reasons why Indians are more prone to diabetes. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's the insulin level and the insulin resistance being higher and all that. If insulin level is higher, you will say, why are they getting diabetes then? They're only having insulin resistance. It doesn't last. Quickly burns out. And then your insulin level goes down. Why? Because we are loading our food with carbs. I'll come back to that. When you're taking too much of carbs, you're putting, every time you eat, it's like doing a glucose tolerance test. You're giving more and more glucose, more and more. So it's pulling out more and more insulin. We are already born with a smaller pancreas and beta cells. This is the Barker hypothesis, which is shown thin fat here, low birth weight. So we have, you're already born thin because malnutrition was there in the mother. So the child is already born with smaller pancreas, smaller islet cells. It's not able to respond. And then you give too much of carbohydrate on top of that. It will pull out all the insulin, fail, you become diabetic. This took 25 years to prove. But it seems to be true. And with that comes low HDL, more fat in the body, and so on. I'll come back to that. No muscle mass. We don't have enough muscle mass because we don't eat enough protein. All these things we're able to show. Excess ectopic fat. I'll come back to that. For years we showed that we have more fat. You take an Indian baby, newborn, and a UK baby. The UK baby look much bigger. You measure the fat, it's more in the Indian. Insulin level is higher in the child. Newborn child has a higher insulin level than the bigger baby in the UK, because there's some epigenetic changes or something going on there. Now, this is just a summary of all the studies where they looked at liver fat, visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, and everything, did a meta-analysis of all the studies published, including ours, and looked at South Asians and Europeans. And they found clearly the South Asians have more of abdominal fat, visceral fat, which then goes into the liver. Once it goes into the liver, the insulin is supposed to work there. No, it can't work because it's producing resistance there. Same fat goes to the pancreas, insulin secretion also goes down because the beta cells are all covered by fat now. Okay? So they had to do some experimental studies to prove that. So such a study is what is called as the Glass-Vegas study. In Glasgow, Glass-Vegas study. So what they did here was they took South Asians and they took white Europeans and said, we are going to overfeed you and see what happens to you. So when they overfed the two groups, they told them, you are going to put on weight, we are going to measure it, we are going to take biopsy, we are going to do MRI, we are going to do all kinds of things for you. The volunteers can come. So volunteers came and they were overfed. When they overfed, Europeans also put on weight, Indians also put on weight. But wrong type of weight was they put. In the European, there was good muscle, some fat, something. And most of the European fat was in the abdominal wall. So if you pinch what you feel, that is subcutaneous fat. That is actually healthy. That is actually like putting on a warm coat. It doesn't go inside. There's no metabolic dysfunction with that. When the fat gets inside, that becomes visceral fat. And that goes into the liver. And therefore, the insulin is not able to work. Therefore, your insulin level goes up. That's what I detected clinically years ago. And that then leads to insulin deficiency, and then you lead to diabetes. So what they did in this thing was, it's a long study. I'm just showing you the summary picture of that. So when you take excess calories, for the white man, it sticks here, subcutaneous fat. For the Indian, what happens is there's a fat spillover. So it gets into the visceral, and from there into the liver, muscle, pancreatic beta cell, and even to heart. And that's why you get heart attacks at very young age. So this beautiful study was able to show that very clearly. Now you'll ask, is this all due to genetic, we are born with it, genetic, or environmental factors? For the first few years, 1980s, 1990s, even now, we work a lot on genomics, but our entire focus was on genomics because I thought that is the thing. Some gene we are going to find. If Indians are so different, there must be gene. So we published a series of Nature Genetics papers and other papers. 4 Jiva studies we were involved in. published in very high impact factors. And we did also find a few genes, about 5, 6 genes we found. And you say, oh, then you have solved the problem. No, we didn't solve the problem, because these are minuscule disadvantage they give you. The lot scores are so small. If you add all the 6 also, even 5% of your thing, it is not explaining. So while genetics is important, that is not another reason I can tell you to show why genes are not the only thing. I showed you that first graph where when my father joined 2% diabetes, okay? And now it's 25%. It's only 50 years. What genes change for us? 50 years, my genes are the same, your genes are the same, everybody's gene is the same. So no genetic change took place in 50 years. What changed was the food intake. More food, more affluence, less physical activity. So it looked as if it's the lifestyle which is more important, the environmental factor which is more important. Of course, we are still continuing our work on the genes. Why are we having beta cell function? Why are we losing beta cell function? This is recent work, again with UK, where we looked at the genes for beta cell dysfunction, and that is in the white population, and this is in the South Asian. We're able to see differences in the genes. So there are some genes which are activated in our population, which is why we are losing beta cell function fast. But that's not the only reason. The reason is environmental factors. What are these environmental factors? Our lifestyle has completely changed. In the olden days, people would carry load on their heads. It may not be for you youngsters now, but when I was a youngster, I used to play every single day. 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock was in the ground. We'll go and play. And it was all outdoor activity. So we are burning. Look at the children there, all thin. Is this the kind of children you see today? In my grandson's class, in my whole school, I studied in a Catholic school. So in my whole school, there was one fat boy, one. Out of 2,000 or 3,000 children, there was one boy. Today in my grandson's class, 50% of his classmates are like this, all big. It's pretty obvious. You don't have to go far, okay? We used to eat very frugal meals like this. Today, our boys are working to US timing. They're getting paid in dollars. At 2 a.m., the mother doesn't give them idli, so they order from Swiggy, and they eat all high-calorie food, high fat, high sugar, high in salt, everything. So our diet is completely changed. So that's very easy to say. That's layman's point of view. How do you break that down into science? So we said, let's look at what are all the components which have changed. One, we're eating too much of food, too much of carbs. That leads to excess glycemic load. Second, our physical activity has gone down. Third, there are new things occurring. Air pollution. So this is one of our first studies. And if I can share a secret with you, those of you who don't believe, will not believe, but my guru is Baba, Satya Sai Baba. So I was in an interview with him, and he suddenly turned around to me, and he said, why is diabetes increasing in India? You're doing a lot of research, tell me, he said. And I said, that was the time I was doing genes. So I said, genes. So he said, 50 years, not 50, 30 years, diabetes is increasing, all your genes changed? He asked me. Then only I knew I was a fool. Then I kept quiet. I knew. He said, you have not looked at your data. You go back, you have got all the data with you, you look at the rice intake and correlate it with diabetes. You will find a strong correlation. He's telling me this. Okay? From there itself I called, from Puttaparthi itself I called my team. Take out all the rice data. That is my starting of my rice work. Okay? He knew all my data even before I had even taken it out. Okay? So this is my first paper in British Journal of Nutrition, where we showed how with increasing carbohydrate, exactly as he predicted, this is all within Chennai. Everybody is taking carbohydrate, but 4 quartiles. This is the least carbohydrate, 200 grams. This is 400 grams. By the time it goes up, diabetes increased 4 times, 5 times it has increased. So even within Chennai, okay? And this is not due to weight, because we have corrected for BMI, family history, cigarette smoking, alcohol, physical activity, everything we have corrected. Strong correlation. But it's and if you look at fiber, opposite is showing. So strong evidence, but it's a cross-sectional study. So there could be other confounders which you have not adjusted for. If you want a proper study, you must do a longitudinal study. That means you must have the diet intake first, then follow the same population for next 15 years, same individuals, and then see who develops diabetes, and then correlate it. Is it easy to do? Well, we have done it. That's a pure study with Dr. Salim Yusuf. And there, we looked at, so Salim Yusuf is the last author of the study, and the pure study actually started in India. Now it's in 25 countries, 250,000 people, 5 continents, followed for about 25 years now. Largest epidemiological study. India was the largest diabetes study. This is the largest epidemiological study, period, in the whole world. Nobody has done it. Only Salim Yusuf can do that. Okay? So there, all the diabetes part, I'm involved in that. And my PhD student, Balaji Bavdarinishi, worked on that. So we looked at whole world and looked at rice intake and saw whether there's a correlation. I'm not showing you all the details, but in South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all the studies in South Asia, direct relationship between incident diabetes, new onset, this is not cross-sectional. Those who developed diabetes later, they already were taking a lot of rice. And those who took less rice, they were not developing diabetes. So you could clearly show carbohydrate. So you're talking of rice from one angle. I'm talking about rice from a completely different angle. There are other views that rice contains arsenic and that's a direct poison, and I'm not sure. I've not gone into that. The soil, they say, contains more arsenic. But we don't need to go all that. Even if you follow the carbohydrate theory part of it, it still comes out quite strong. Okay? More recent, but that was only in 5 cities in India, was a pure study. In INDIAB, we looked at the whole country. Okay, this is a Nature Medicine paper published last year, September. And in this Nature Medicine paper, we had the entire diet of the entire country. This became a breakthrough paper. Everybody is talking about this particular paper. Of course, my daughter is again the first author of this. It took years to do on the entire country, including all the islands and so on. We were able to show clear relationship across India with carbohydrate. Now, this is carbohydrate. This is not just rice. So wheat also comes in. The north and west, wheat comes in. So new onset diabetes, pre-diabetes, obesity, abdominal obesity, everything correlating with carbohydrate. So definitely excess carbohydrate. So that's one of the messages for you from today. Start cutting down on your carbs and increase your protein. Now, where did that come from? Again, we published on that. Now, we got in a mathematical scientist and a biologist from Indian Institute of Science and in other places. So, we worked on that and we said, what percentage, because see, if you look at the direct trial, they went to near zero carbs. It won't work. In our country, how will you work? I'm taking 65-70% carbohydrate. You tell every Indian you stop taking carbohydrate. It won't work. Simply won't work. So what is the minimum that is needed? So we started doing all kinds of mathematical modeling, 5%, 10%, 15%. About 10%, if you're able to cut the carbohydrate by 10% on your plate, don't take rice and rasam, rice and sambar, rice and curd, rice and something. That's how we go on eating, you know. Put a lot of vegetables on your plate. Put a lot of protein on your plate. If you're non-vegetarian, you're lucky. You can just take chicken, fish, egg, and you're done. If you're a vegetarian, you have to struggle, like me. So you have to struggle, okay? You have to find your protein with every meal. And then you look for your protein. If you do that, you automatically will cut your carb because protein fills up your stomach. You get satiety. You won't feel like eating. So you'll cut down the carbs. And that's what we showed in this paper, that if you cut down 10% of carbohydrate, increase the protein by 10%, keep the fat the same, but take healthy fats. Take monounsaturated fat. Take nuts. Take seeds. Nuts are very healthy, by the way. This is a cashew nut country. Even cashew nut is good. Let me tell you a story, because cashew nut is important to Kerala. When I was a medical student, the first day of medical school, I went, that's why I never listen to your teachers. You can listen to them, but don't believe everything they say. I went to the ward first day, and one of my professors asked me, what's the best way to commit suicide? I said, why is this guy talking about suicide? It must be some depression, he must be going to... So we kept quiet. Third year medical student, what do you do? Kept quiet. And he said, no, tell me. And I said, go to the building, jump off, walk into the sea. So many things I told him. No. I said, why are you asking me how to commit suicide? You know, you decide whatever is best for you. You know, why are you asking me? Then he told me, no, you just eat 5 cashew nuts every day. In 6 months' time, your cholesterol has gone so high, you will die. No, see the impact it will make on a third-year medical student. So every time you see cashew, I think poison, shouldn't take. When the cashew board came to me and said, will you do a study to see? I said, I'll do the study, but I'll publish whatever comes. That's a risk you're taking with me. Okay? Otherwise, don't come to me. Go to someone else. No, we'll come. We are confident. When we did the study, it actually did not affect the cholesterol at all. The LDL cholesterol at all. The good cholesterol, HDL cholesterol went up. Sugar, no change. Weight, no change. HDL cholesterol, which is very low, I showed you in the Indians, went up. More than anything else, blood pressure dropped by 4 millimeters. Now this I checked it again and it's coming. And I said, it's a new finding. Let's publish it. Nothing new you should be scared to publish. I published it. 3-4 months later, an American study confirmed it. That if you take cashew, your blood pressure drops a little bit. Okay? The oleic acid in it and the mechanism for that and all we found out later. So never believe what somebody tells you. You do it yourself. And if you find something new, don't be scared to publish it. Because you may be right. As Bob Turner told me, you could be terribly right or terribly wrong. If you're terribly wrong, apologize and get out. First, don't fall in love with your own hypothesis if it's wrong. Okay? But if it's terribly right, you hit the jackpot. So don't be scared to do research, to do things which nobody has done before. Okay? Now comes new risk factors. Why this urban-rural difference is coming? Why is it always in urban areas it is high? If you look at Delhi on any given day, it will be like this. You can't even, so in winter particularly, even in summer you go, Delhi will be like this. Okay? So we said, can pollution be one of the reasons? Everybody talks about pollution, cough, pollution, lung cancer, TB, asthma, COPD. They talk about that. We said, let's look at different things. So we looked at hypertension. We looked at dyslipidemia. This is the diabetes paper, where we showed that incident type 2 diabetes increases in those who have pollution. In fact, I wrote an editorial saying air pollution a new cause of type 2 diabetes. Something you never thought of at all. 3 days ago, we published in Kidney International showing that rate of decline of kidney function getting affected due to pollution. So many things we are talking about, we never thought is due to pollution and so on. Okay? This is a slide from my Kelly West lecture. Kelly West lecture is the highest award given to an epidemiologist in the world. And so when I gave this Kelly West lecture 2 years ago, this is my summary slide from that Kelly West lecture. I summarized all that we knew about type 2 diabetes in South Asians. And we said there is some kind of intrauterine programming going on, maybe a small genetic susceptibility. Right from birth, that susceptibility is there. Then child starts overeating, puts on weight, too much of carbs, no protein, less fiber, excess fat comes, adiposity, fat overflow hypothesis, ectopic fat comes in the wrong places, abdomen, liver, pancreas, maybe even in the brain. And then triggered by things like air pollution, hyperinsulinemia initially, then rapid loss of beta cells, and then you get the thin fat Indian. How do you prevent it? Improve nutrition in the mother. It will slowly start coming down over generations. From childhood, decrease carbohydrate, increase protein, increase fiber, do more exercise, especially muscle building. You do some muscle building, go to the gym, do some muscle building, lift little weights, you will find your muscle sarcopenia is not there. It's an Asian Indian trait which you can treat. Of course, you have to cut air pollution. When this paper got published 2 days ago, every press was calling me. How do we reduce air pollution? It's not possible. I said, it is possible. Los Angeles was one of the most polluted cities in the world. I've seen pictures worse than Delhi. The whole administration, the whole government, NGOs, people, they all joined together and said, we'll make Los Angeles clean. Today, if you see Los Angeles, cleaner than here. They did it. If they can do it, why we can't do it? Okay? We all have to Indore. Have you heard of Indore? Madhya Pradesh. It's the cleanest city in the country. If you drop something, okay, if you just drop a piece of paper in Indore, or you have a party and you don't clean up, the police will come and catch you. Because they say we are the cleanest city in the country and we have to keep it like that. It's just the public spirit. Once that spirit comes, you will do it. Okay? But we are So people ask me, can you prevent diabetes? Can you have a diabetes-free India? You worked all your life. Will you get a diabetes-free India? My answer is no. You will not get a diabetes-free India. Because due to age, you will get diabetes. You can't prevent aging. Due to family history of diabetes, for centuries we have been inbreeding, consanguineous marriages. How can you get rid of the genes? You can't get rid of it. But you can prevent the complications of diabetes. So, we have a lot of coronary artery disease, peripheral vascular disease, retinopathy, nephropathy, neuropathy. Look at the number of people with kidney disease in India, 25 million people, that's Australia, okay? 25 million, not all are on kidney failure, but they've got microalbuminuria and they're likely to develop. Even if 20% of them develop, it's 5 million people who will need dialysis or transplantation. If you don't do dialysis, transplantation, they'll die. There's no other treatment today, no medicines, nothing, okay? Now, the only thing you can do is to prevent it. You can't get 5 million kidneys. We're doing 10,000 kidneys in a year. Dialysis or transplant. Dialysis is too costly, they can't afford. Transplantation, 10,000 a year. This is 5 million. There's no way we can do it. We can only prevent it. So can you have, so why is this huge burden of complication? Because ABCD is not followed. What is ABCD? A is A1C, less than, how did I get this? From another paper for which I got the other one, the Harold Rifkin Award. I showed that people can live for 50 years or more with type 2 diabetes. Nobody had shown that in the world. We are able to show 50-year survival if ABC is controlled. That means A1C less than 7, blood pressure less than 140/90, LDL less than 100. Of course, it can be much tighter, but this is a minimum at a population level. Of course, you should have diet, exercise, no smoking. If you do all this and keep chain smoking, you're killing yourself. You can't do that. And then moderation alcohol use, stress reduction, and regularity of follow-up. So is it, what are we achieving in India? Are we all achieving this target? Now, this is another INDIAP paper where we looked at self-reported diabetes and looked at whether ABC is being, we are supposed to do it. As diabetologists and physicians, we're supposed to do it. So when you look at it, A1C only in 30%, blood pressure in about 50%, cholesterol in about 60%. You'll say 50, 60 looks good, no? If you see all the three together, A, B, and C, 7% of Indians, 7%. 93% of people in India are not achieving the simple A, B, C. What are we doing as diabetologists? We're doing nothing. We are doing very poorly. Job is not at all good. We have to just increase that A1C 7%, B, and C. If you're able to do that, you won't have complications at all, okay, in India. Now, is this possible? Long and healthy life if you achieve ABCD? Is it rhetoric simply because of an award lecture that I'm coming and saying all this? No, I never do that. I always do it with data only. If it's not possible, no point in talking about it. This is the paper for which I got the Harold Rifkin Award, where we showed long-term survivors. How many years? Minimum 40 years after getting type 2 diabetes. Some had 50 years. Look at the mean duration, it's 43 plus minus 3.9. Many had more than 50 years survival. So here we looked at it, what made them survive? We also had a group of non-survivors, those who died before 40 years duration. Very clear, A, B, C. So that's where I learned the A, B, C. If you're able to control it, you can make them live long. You may say, well, this is only 40 years survival. You're not shown the age of the people, whether they actually lived 90 years. In my father's time, I don't think even 60 years, 70 years, people were reaching. They were dying before that. That's why Shashtipta Purti, reaching 60 years, a big thing those days. Why they made you retire at 55? Because another 5 years, they thought you're going to die. Okay. Today, is it like that? It has changed. In Kerala, it's almost 78 years. The lifespan of people is almost 78 years. So I published my next paper showing long-term survival of elderly patients above 90 years. I had some 300 and something patients who at that time, in 2020, 6 years ago, had already finished 90 years of life. I asked all my colleagues, all my Western counterparts, senior people, how many you have seen above 90? 2, 3, 4. I kept quiet. I said, okay, I'll come with my paper. I've got large numbers. So here is one picture. Can you identify 2 people in this who are below 90? There's me and that's my daughter. Only 2 are below 90. All others are above 95. Okay? The chief guest of this function was Chitti Babu. Some of you may know him. He was a Vice Chancellor of Alagappa University, Annamalai University, many universities. When he came for the function, he was 101 years old. Okay? This is Sabanayagam, Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu. He was 97 when he came. He had published a book the previous year. At 96, he wrote a book. He lived up to 103. Okay? All these people, as George here, and this is another professor, anatomy professor, all of them are about 100 years old. Okay? And they don't have any complication. They've lived for 50, 60 years with diabetes. They got in their 40, 50, crossed 100, and they're still doing well. No physical ailment, nothing. They didn't have GLP. They didn't have any of the latest things. They didn't have continuous glucose monitoring. None of the latest things we had. And yet they were able to do it. A, B, C, D. That's it. Okay? Now just a few more I'll wind up, showing how technology can be used. How do you take this? It's okay to do it in a clinic. How do you take it to large numbers of people? Okay? Now, rural India is where maximum number of people live. 60, 70% of India lives in rural areas. In rural areas, poverty, literacy is a problem, transportation is a problem. So we said, my wife, when she was alive, she said, let's make the 6A test possible. Nobody had even thought about it. We said, no, not enough if you just work in the cities, you must work in the villages. So how do you do that? How do you make diabetes care available, accessible, affordable, appropriate, acceptable, and accountable in rural India? We look for model, no model anywhere in the world. We said, we'll evolve the model, okay? So what we did was, while we are talking, one of the things I want to tell you, people mention spirituality. If you think of a cause, I'm making a bold statement here. If you think of a cause which is bigger than yourself, not for your selfish reasons, but something which will serve humanity, which will benefit mankind, God will come to you. God will come to you. You just put the plan forward and it will be answered. Whichever God you pray to, whichever religion, whichever God you believe in, you pray to that God will come and help you. So we were just talking about this and saying, how do we go to rural area? I get a call from a zamindar of a village. Dr. Mohan, I've got a big village, I'm a bachelor, the whole village is mine, I don't know what to do, I'm giving away land. Can you come? I want to give you a few acres, free. I said, okay. So I went. He said, what will you do for my people if I give you land? I said, if you give me land, I will not take 1 rupee from that land, I will donate to that land, and I will make your village famous. Your village will become, whole world will talk about your village, Chunampet, which I did not even know where it was till you called me. Okay? He said, okay, take the village. So not the whole village, he gave me a few acres of land. So I went there, then I went to, so this is where Chunampet is, it's in, that's Chennai, Sri Perambuttur. This is Kanchipuram district, at the southern tip of that is Chunampet. So I said, not only your village, I'll extend it to all the villages around, but I'll keep your village as the base. Then I went to the World Diabetes Foundation and I said, can you give me some money? I need a van and I need some initial staff. After that, I'll take over. So with the money they gave me, I built from scratch. We just bought the chassis and then built this van. ISRO gave me a big satellite. That time we needed satellite. Now this is 10 years before COVID, not after COVID. It's much, much, much before COVID, okay? We made this into a mobile diabetes hospital. Everything you can get inside. Eye tested, kidney tested, sugar tested, BP tested. Then how do we do it? We go to huts like this, go to homes like this. Then there were a lot of young men and women there who are unemployed. So we gave them jobs. They can't get a job. They are high school dropouts. So we trained them how to check blood pressure. They're sitting in the house, in the hut, and then doing. So checking blood pressure, checking sugar, everything is done. Height, weight, everything is done. And then if anybody has, so village by village by village you can cover by this van going there. If they have diabetes, they just enter the van. And inside the van driver also has another job. He has to take retinal pictures. So there itself we do all the foot screening, eye screening. If they come to my hospital, whatever they do, we do it. And we do it completely free of cost. Okay? So then we take the picture, retinal picture. Instantly it is relayed to our ophthalmologist sitting in Chennai, who's talking, saying that is a lens and that's what happens in cataract. and then we are looking at retina. She's explaining everything. This lady is 200 miles away. That's the building which we built. Where did we get the land? I donated it. My wife and I, 50% of our income, we donated. We put up the building there. And then we said, this is for free. So government noticed it. They said, you're doing all this, our job. I said, allow us also to join you. No, we are all. They said, okay, you take 40 villages. You look after it. Every year you send us a report of those 40 villages. There's no need for us to do. We are not obliged to do it. We didn't register it. But then when somebody is giving land for it, his own land is giving away, why can't we do that? That's why I said, if you think of a cause which is bigger than yourself, things will happen. Magic will happen. Really magic will happen. Okay? So it became a big story because, 200,000 people, 42 villages, we screened all of them. And of course, for me, I'm a scientist. For everything, I'll get data. So I started publishing on retinopathy, nephropathy, neuropathy, everything. Nothing in the world was there. So we got all that. Most important was this. We used very low-cost generic drugs, sulfonylurea, metformin, which people think is very old-fashioned. By the way, all those people who lived up to 100 years, they used only sulfonylurea, metformin, cheapest one. So I used the same thing in the villages, and then we were able to show that the entire village's HbA1c came down. Nobody in the world had done that. Gone to a village, and actually no government had probably done it at that time. Okay? So the next one is ophthalmology. Okay, this is in a van, you can keep doing. Now we have got 50 diabetic clinics all over, as I said, in 32 cities, 8 states of India. Our own branches are there. I don't have 50 ophthalmologists. How do I screen the eye of everyone? I have to do it because my wife is an ophthalmologist. She is the first diabetic retinopathy ophthalmologist of India. Okay, how do we do that? So what we did was, I said, again, we are not going to get 50 ophthalmologists. So first of all, the cameras were very expensive. So we collaborated with a company which makes retinal cameras at 1/10 of the cost. What is 25 lakhs for a Carl Zeiss or Topcon camera, 2.5 lakhs, a Bangalore company was making it. So we took that camera, we validated it, and we showed the pictures are exactly the same. What happened? US started buying this. They said, why should we spend 10 times more? They started. So the Indian market, from here we started exporting. That's exactly what our Prime Minister says, no? Make in India, Viskat Bharat, make India shine. This is an example of that, how you can do that, okay? Next, even if you have the camera, you still have to get the pictures to an ophthalmologist. So then we introduced AI. AI started getting better and better. So once you introduce AI into the camera, AI will tell you, this is retinopathy, this needs to be referred, this is mild, this is no retinopathy. It will tell you instantly. It takes, like we are checking in the car, in 10 seconds you'll get the answer. An ophthalmologist will take so much time. So it started getting better. So we published that to show that you can use this for thing. Next thing we did was, we compared the ophthalmologist doing it in our center with the AI and the teleophthalmology being done. So this is that study, okay? And we showed there's not much of difference. Look at any retinopathy, sight-threatening retinopathy, not much of difference between the two. So you can use this. You don't need an ophthalmologist now. They just have to oversee. You can use technology, okay? So it is now written, and this is now being followed all over. It became a model for the world, actually. Then apps. There are lots of apps available, but these apps are, and you all are technology people, so you can also develop apps. You must develop apps which are really low cost or probably free and which can be used, okay? So we developed a lot of apps. We call it as the 3Ds. What are 3Ds? One is called Dia, one is called Diala, and the other is Diana. Dia is a chatbot. You can ask Dia anything, like asking Chat GPT or Claude or anything. You just ask our app, tell me about diabetic retinopathy, tell me about this, tell me about it. Everything it will tell you. Okay, she'll just give you in few seconds. We have taught it very well. So for public, they don't have to pay. You can get anything done. You can book appointments, you can do whatever you want. Second is Diala. Once patients come and go, how do we keep in touch with them? They've got their self-monitoring glucose, they've done cholesterol, they've gone to another lab. We don't have the data. We say, okay, use this app, it's free, just enter the data. It will come to our electronic records immediately, okay? So we did that. So Diala helps you to do so many things. And these are all the things that Diala app will do. Then you also need to diagnose diabetes. We know type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, fibrocalcific diabetes, gestational diabetes, neonatal diabetes. There are about 60 types of diabetes. Within type 2 diabetes, there are 4 or 5 types, okay? Now, I may know all this after 50 years of work. How does my junior know in Siliguri sitting there? How does he know? I've trained him, but does he really know all this? So we created another app. It's called Diana. Okay? In the Diana app, all you have to do is you have to just put in, and these are the 4 subtypes of diabetes which we described actually, the novel clusters which we described. So what you do in the Diana tool is you just put in all the characteristics, BMI, age, this, that. Diana will immediately tell you this is severe insulin-dependent diabetes, deficient diabetes. The risk of developing retinopathy in the next 5 years is 60%. You can use insulin or sulfonylurea or DPP-4 inhibitor for this particular patient. If you want to use, you can use. If you say, no, I want to use something else, it's up to you. But it's giving you hints of how to treat this particular patient, individualized patient. Okay? I'm not sure of anyone in the world, any center which actually uses this. So you need for local solutions to take this to different people. Probably the biggest award I got was last year. Last year I suddenly got a call from the European Association. The American Association of Diabetes had repeatedly honored me. European Association, I didn't even know there's an award like this, called the Global Impact Prize. The person who has done the maximum impact in the whole world for diabetes. I didn't know about it, I didn't even apply for it. It was a European award. Suddenly I get a call from the European Association president saying, Dr. Mohan, you are the recipient of the Global Impact Prize. I said, what prize? I never even applied. He said, no, it's a global prize. And you have to come to Vienna, you have to present your work. I said, what will I talk on? Your life. That's what you talk on, because that's what we're giving the prize for. So I presented it. It's a huge cash prize, which they gave me. And then that's the first one, first time in the world. This year will be the second one. And this year they're giving it to the person who discovered GLP, which has impacted all the semaglutide and Mounjaro and all that came from his work. So the title of this paper was published just 23rd June, just now. So impacting lives of people with diabetes, lessons learned from India may be applicable to other low and middle income countries. They said, you just describe your whole life. That's it. We want to hear about it, and the world must hear. So I've not only described all that, also raised various challenges. What are the challenges, patient-related, practitioner-related, healthcare-related, and what are the possible solutions that we have learned? Africa has to learn from us. So many other countries have to learn from us. I also made it as, I said, start with the patient. Find out what is the problem the patient is having, pain point, and then the pain point. Then you find local solution, pilot test it, scale it up, then apply it to larger population. We did everything like that. We start with one clinic, then next clinic, then next clinic, now we have 50 clinics. Everything you find out what the patient wants, then you can't go wrong. And then I also summarized it by saying, okay, this is the burden we have, these are the solutions we have, and what is the actual impact that you can have. It should be affordable, adaptable, low-cost technology, and it should be population-specific. What works in Tamil Nadu may not work in Kerala. What works in India may not work in China. You might have to adapt, but the principles are still the same. Most of the pain points are still the same. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for patient hearing and tell you a few take-home messages. The prevalence of diabetes is increasing rapidly in India, still increasing. In UP, we saw 4%. I can bet you if you call me back for another oration here in 5 years' time, it may be 10% or 15% in UP. 300 million people. Imagine 5% increase. How many more people in UP are going to get it? Who's going to treat them? Okay? The Asian Indian phenotype is the reason why we get it. If you follow the ABCD goals, you can have a long and healthy life despite diabetes. It has now spread to the urban poor and to rural areas, particularly in Kerala, and there are huge gaps. And use of technology can help to decrease the disparities between the haves and the have-nots. Those are my contact details. If any of you want to contact me, my email is there. Those are all the social media channels. All that I'm talking now will come in some form or the other because I believe in dissemination to the public. So therefore, so any one of these channels, if you join, you will be getting constant information about not just my work, but work on diabetes anywhere in the world. That's my WhatsApp channel. And if you actually just scan that, it will come to you and you just say follow, you will become my WhatsApp channel follower. Okay, so I think that is it. Okay, So with that, I would like to thank you for the patient hearing. It's been a great, great honor to deliver the second Dr. Joseph Padayatty Memorial Lecture. I'm so happy and pleased that his son, Dr. Sebastian, is here, and my very good friend for many, many years, Dr. George Thomas, is here, and of course, Dr. Parvati and all the other faculty, students. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Yes, Doctor.
Whenever you go for blood testing, they have put this value as 5.6 diabetic, pre-diabetic. That values did not match with what.
I'll explain that. So 5.6 is the normal HbA1c of a normal young person. Even a person without diabetes, it will start increasing a little bit with age. So I'd say age 60, 65, maybe 6 is the normal value. We are talking about people with diabetes. So between 5.7 and 6.4 is pre-diabetes. The stage between normal and diabetes, that is called pre-diabetes. 6.5 and above is diabetes. Now people come with us with HbA1c of 12, 13, 15, even 20 around coming HbA1c. For them to come to 5.6 is impossible because they get into severe hypoglycemia. Also depends on the age. So the 7 came from the Wikipedia study which I mentioned. The DCCT, Wikipedia is done in type 2 diabetes in the UK. DCCT was done in type 1 diabetes in the US, and they had the same result. If you keep the HbA1c at 7% or lower, 6.8, 6.9, is it below 7? If you just keep it below that, you will not develop eye, kidney and nerve complication. Even the BMC is not needed, just the A is sufficient. Eye, kidney, nerves can be controlled by just HbA1c below 7. Below that figure is good. For a newly diagnosed person, young person, you can get maybe 5.8, 6 you can reach. And below 6.5 is considered type control for a diabetic patient. But for the population, I'm talking about the whole of India, okay, half of them are not even diagnosed. Even taking 7, only 30% will reach. Okay, if you say 6.5, 1% will reach. It's impossible, you can't. And there are certain dangers of hypoglycemia. So 7 is a safe limit to prevent complications. So I said A1C alone can prevent eye, kidney, nerve. What about heart? That's where the BMC comes. Blood pressure is also to be controlled, cholesterol is also to be controlled, and no smoking, physical activity, all that. Bangladesh has higher diabetes rates than India. Yeah. Pakistan is higher than India. The number is higher in India because of our population. But if you look at that, that's why in the UK, South Asians, they're one third. Indians, Bangladeshis and Pakistanis no different. In fact, they are higher. Bangladeshis and Pakistanis have higher rates than others. Pakistanis, their build is higher. So they're Pakhans, so their body weight is also more. So they have much higher rates than Indians. India, a lot of places very poor even now. So the average comes down. The first question was Japanese. So the original studies on rice and diabetes. Okay. So the original studies on rice and its link to diabetes came from Japan and China. Our studies came much later. Clearly shown that in China, it's gone up, it correlates very strongly. But what's happened in China is their rice has gone down. They eat much less rice than us. So they have started taking a lot of salad, a lot of meat, a lot of non-veg, a lot of healthy protein. Protein intake is very high. So therefore their rice intake has gone down. Therefore even in pure, in China also it is correlated with the diet, but not so strong. And one of the reviewers was from Harvard, he was a Chinese guy. calibrated insulin levels fairly accurately, you have definitely got it. In fact, if somebody comes to me, a young person, and not sure whether it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes, I think what I can do is almost type 1 is gone. Type 2 diabetes. It's already got insulin. Type 1 is more insulin deficiency. Okay? I showed you those 4 types. Severe insulin deficient diabetes, insulin resistant diabetes, mild age-related diabetes. The second category, where they are only get that. The thing insulin deficient diabetes. So you are right. And there are other marks of, so looking at the skin, you are absolutely right. Looking at the skin, you can say that you have got diabetes. One of the simple things that you have is genital infection. Either you have balanitis in a man or a vulvovaginitis in a lady. If you have a genital infection, there is a 90% chance you have diabetes. Just check your sugar will be fine. Okay, the sugar in the urine is producing an infection. So that's another story. So there are many skin signs of diabetes. Amyloma granular, diabetic dermopathy. If you look at anybody who has had diabetes of 15-20 years duration, just look at their leg, shin, and long spots. It's called dermopathy. If you have dermopathy, the chance of having retinopathy and nephropathy is very high. So you see that the skin is property identification in the skin. The skin is a window to the body. So looking at the skin, you can say what is inside. Looking at the eye, you can say about the brain, about blood pressure, about sugar. These are all signs. Good clinician to be able to pick up on. Okay, yes.
Thank you, sir. My name is Jana. I just called from the government background, and then I just focused on relating to the diabetes cancer. So when reading the literature on that commonly available in the market, we see that GLP-1 about the GLP-1 before or circulatory, everything has glycemic control. Beyond that, these drugs feeding and option to reduce other major life diseases like chronic heart disease, it's reducing the stock, many things from respiratory. Everything has good relation for good formation, reducing disease. So, and so some famous persons also taking metformin as a longevity method for daily they are consuming for better longevity. So, do you think better control diabetes is good for
Cancer.
not only to prevent cancer, for other chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, respiratory disease?
ABCD is not.
Okay.
But it's not about the cancer part.
Coming to the cancer part, the person having diabetes and also taking the drugs as a more survival rate than a person without having ADC or not having drugs. So it's a good thing having better control diabetes.
So my father used to say, and I never used to believe him, but I do believe now, that a well-controlled person with diabetes is better than a non-diabetes. Okay? I used to think because the diabetes is just saying, no, it's not true. Because you're going every 3 months for a checkup. So when you go every 3 months, not only your sugar, BP, cholesterol, this, that, weight, we talk about diet, talk about exercise, talk about sleep, we do all that. Apart from that, we also do screening. So if you screen every year comes with an ultrasound. You suddenly pick up a tumor in the kidney, tumor in the liver. You would have come with something else, but we pick it up. So we say, looks like cancer. Let's go immediately, get a biopsy done. Then we get a cure. Sometimes part of the liver is removed, part of the kidney is removed or something, and you are cured. Any tumor is picked up. So that's one of the advantages why a well-controlled diabetic has less chance of cancer. But are people with diabetes more prone to cancer? Yes, definitely. There are about 6 or 7 cancers, breast cancer, where high correlation between the, the IGF, which we're talking about, insulin-like growth factor. The growth factor, so it makes the cells multiply, so you get cancer. So breast cancer, uterine cancer, some of the lymphomas, non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. But 5-6 cancers are definitely much more in those who have diabetes. So increased surveillance. For me, it's an opportunity to screen for cancer. For people who are, most of the people who come to me are 40, 50, 60 years old. That's when cancer also comes. So while doing the diabetic part, I don't only say sugar and BP. I check the whole thing. That gets a chance to pick up on a one of those cancers, you can cure it. We talk about drugs. Metformin, there was a view that actually prevents cancer. So anti-cancer, anti-aging. So many people have done that. Evidence is weak. And when they added it in actual cancer trials, they added metformin also. They didn't see much. It's not bad. It's not worsened. Whether it helps cancer, we don't know. Okay. The other drugs are neutral. There is one drug called pioglitazone. Bladder cancer is supposed to be slightly high with that. With these newer ones, semaglutide and all that, a rare form of thyroid cancer called medullary carcinoma of the thyroid is supposed to be there. There are no human trials, some animal experiments are there. So the drugs also you have to be careful which drug you are using. Some of them reduce the risk, some of them increase the risk. But we only divide our human body into cancer specialist, liver specialist, diabetes, body is body. And therefore there's a lot of overlap between various things. As a physician, you have an overall view of the body, not just read glucose, not only, see the cancer people don't even check the sugar. We have shown, so several papers have written on diabetes cancer. One of them, when one of my PhD students came, he said, I want to look at oral cancer. You know, oral cancer is very high because they do reverse smoking, fistula smoking and all kinds of things. So oral cancer in India is the highest in the whole world, tobacco, chewing, and all. So I said, what has that to do with diabetes? He said, no sir, I've seen some reports. He finished his full PhD, 5 papers he published, showing that those who have oral cancer, diabetes is more. Those who have diabetes, oral cancer is more. So there are so many things which are unexplored, because the mechanisms are the same. Insulin resistance, IGF, all these are common pathways for, and some of the drugs and what we do for treatment diabetes can actually reduce the cancer risk. And last one. Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. This was, I think, one of the best lectures, most informative I've ever heard. I am Trupti. I am a guest faculty at Biotechnology department. So I have 2 small things to ask. So there is a very common, thinking in India that if you replace rice with millets or wheat, it helps in controlling diabetes. So is it actually true? I mean, I really want to get the facts right.
So we'll finish that question first.
Yeah.
So no, that's not true and not. If you replace it with wheat or ragi, it doesn't make too much of difference because the carbohydrates are the same. Millets, of course, are very good. The government is very much for millets, and not only for this reason, also because it takes very little water. So millets are very environmental friendly. So from that angle, millets are very good. Problem with millets is, just like in the olden days, the rice itself was not so bad because it was whole rice, brown rice. Then only all the mills came and started. Same thing happened to millets. The old millets were all old millet, which is very, very good. The protein content is more, fiber is more. They are very, very good. Today they are all polished. Polished. When you take a polished millet, whether it's ragi or finger millet or foxtail millet or any millet you take, sugar goes up. Glycemic index, because they polished it. You removed many of the useful things in millets. Why do they polish it? Because the traders want to keep it in their shop for a longer period. That's a simple reason. Because once you polish it, it will stay. If you don't polish it, it will become rancid very easily. So therefore, keep it for longer period. It also looks more attractive. Okay, unpolished millet will look brown. If you polish it, it will look white. So people are, this is nice. So they take it. So aesthetically, it looks better, but health-wise, it is not good. So yes, there is no advantage of changing from rice to millet. It's a quantity which is important. Also, if you don't like one particular thing, why should you suffer taking that? You take less of the rice and less of the thing, you're fine. If you like millets, of course you can take it. Next question.
So the second one, I'm not sure if I should ask you, but because you are kind of an authority about this area, it's not only in India but others, and you just told us how alarmingly it is increasing in India. Now, only because you're sitting and maybe a few bunch of us know about this, isn't it important to start an awareness, like how during the AIDS time there was a huge awareness program and it drastically reduced?
Yeah.
So, should we start some kind of awareness so that it doesn't
for
reach
the last
that
40 years we've been doing that only. The problem is that if you want to reach every corner of India, every person in India, government has to take it. No private institution, no NGO, no one state can do it. Everybody has to do it. Now when we go to the government, not that they don't know about NCDs, not that they don't know about diabetes, they do know. But they say, see, for you, diabetes is important. For us, we have got still dengue, we still got malaria, we still got TB, we have got so many things to handle. Diabetes is one of the things. Cancer, people are dying, hypertension, people are dying, stroke, people are dying, heart attack, people are dying, so many things. So, diabetes also is one of those things, and we are giving enough budget for each one of them. Once you have conquered all the communicable diseases, then the entire focus can go on. HIV is a different issue.
Right.
It is preventable,
Correct.
and is treatable, it is curable, and it is not as widespread. We didn't have 101 million people with HIV. So there it is much easier to control. Things like TB and all are much more controlled. You take the TB drugs and you screen, and you have any cough and you go. It's treatable and it's cured. These are lifestyle diseases. You will live with it throughout your life. That's why I said I'm not talking about diabetes-free India, I'm talking about diabetes complicated. As long as they don't get complications, it is fine. But awareness, 100%. Why am I coming when you all call me? Because so many more people, let us say in the room there are 100 people, okay? And each one of you talk to 100 people. That's 10,000 people who have learned. That's how it spreads, little by little by little by little. Each of you on social media. All of you on social media? All of you?
Yes.
Anyone not on social media? Almost everyone. Why don't you put a post today? Saying, don't say I had a great talk by Dr. Mohan. Just say, I heard today in a talk that diabetes is very high, and that you can have a diabetes-free complication, just control the sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol. And that you can actually prevent it if you study it early. Those two messages, if all of you are post, 100 more people will share it, and the right messages will go. Now what is happening? The wrong messages are, that's why I got into this. Wrong messaging. Statin is bad, this is bad, that is bad. They keep on saying it. You don't take anti-diabetic. Every patient who comes to me, 400 blood sugar, 500 blood sugar, they come. HbA1c will be 14. Then I say, look, you've missed 10 years. Now you've come. Let me give you a little insulin also. And then I'll bring it down, and then after 1 month I'll take you off. Everything is too high for just sugar. No, doctor, I don't want tablet also. Tablet produces kidney damage. I said, your 15 HbA1c will not produce kidney damage. You're not worried about that, because nobody has talked about that. Everybody has talked about, you take allopathic drugs, you will go, your kidney will go, you will develop cancer, you will develop this. That is very strong. It's going on from, I keep on telling a lie 1,000 times, it becomes true. It doesn't become true. Truth is still truth. So you must now popularize the right messages to people. Kerala is the best place to do it. We are the most literate state in this country. You can take the lead, each one of you, not just diabetes, but all health tips. If you keep giving, can you keep going, multiply, and after some time people will believe you. And then they'll say, all right, this is correct. That's the only way. Any change will be resisted. But if you keep on doing that, finally it gets accepted. Then finally they'll say, we knew all this long ago. Then take the credit. Doesn't matter. Then take it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask about literacy already asked. Now, these days, the gut microbiota is becoming very, very important. It's impacting even mental health and all kinds of things. Gut is supposed to be the second brain with the maximum number of neurons in the brain. So, what is the role of gut microbiota in diabetes? Can you comment on that?
There is definitely an association between gut microbiota and diabetes. But the problem is the reverse is not true. If you can't say it's not true, evidence is coming. If you give probiotics, can you prevent diabetes? Can you control it better? That evidence is not strong. So it doesn't mean that gut microbiota is not important. Now, if you have uncontrolled diabetes, your gut microbiota completely changes. And when you control your diabetes, it changes. When you take metformin, there are some changes occurring. If you take the good drug, if you take artificial sweeteners, your gut microbiota becomes worse. All the good microbes go off. So I'll tell you in a 1 minute study that we did. We did a large study, Indo-Danish study. So we studied one of the best groups in Denmark, all nature papers. So they studied in Denmark, they studied normal pre-diabetic diabetes. We studied normal pre-diabetic diabetes. Using same methods they came and set up the gut microbiota work here, so we could do it using the same method, so no methodological differences. What we found was, we thought, okay, there'll be difference between Indians and Danes, and then there'll be difference between normal, pre-diabetic and diabetic. Indians and Danes, when you look at the gut microbiota, Danes are there, Indians are here. Completely different, because our high carb diet, complete preventalla and all this, so much more there. They have other gut microbiota. But within the Indians, when you look at the normal, pre-diabetic, diabetic, there's overlap. So all are taking carbohydrates, all are taking, so there are changes which are common. So we are not able to clearly say this is a diabetic microbiome, this is a non-diabetic microbiome. We are not able to say there's some megasphaera was increased in pre-diabetes. A few things like that we found, but it's not enough for us to use it as a diagnostic test. Same thing happened within Denmark. Then they looked at NGT, normal glucose tolerance, and pre-diabetes, diabetes. There's overlap between them. Between them they could not. But if you just look at the gut microbiota, it's not in India. This is a Dane. And you can say that's not a Dane, it's an Indian. Clearly separate. There's no overlap at all. So a lot more work needs to be done. We need to do long-term studies replacing the gut microbiome, giving prebiotics and probiotics, studying them and seeing. But no harm in taking probiotics. Probiotics are very, very good for your gut. They are very good. Older people who have diabetes, who have other diseases, I think it's very good for you to take probiotics. So that's the sum and substance of the gut microbiome. Thank you.
Please have a seat. Thank you, Dr. Mohan, very much. We are about to conclude this session. I invite Dr. Sebastian to express a vote of thanks and also to all of these people.
Thank you, George. It's a great honor to have Mohan give this lecture. I think because he is very keen on spreading his message, he agreed to come to us, but also some Padayatty partners, as well as his friendship with Dr. George. Now, I'll make a very brief comment. Dr. Mohan has shown us how to prevent the complications of diabetes. But it would be even better if we can prevent diabetes altogether, or to reverse diabetes. And what is the only treatment which is very effective? That is poverty. Now this is a completely unattractive treatment. And what we have to do is to find something which is better and more accessible. And a lot of people are trying to find this, but I'm afraid so far there is no success. More than the science that Dr. is an inspiration to all of us, and especially to students here. They should take heart from what he has done. Dr. Mohan started with a lab at the age of 18 when he started medical college, and he's been publishing ever since. He is a physician who looks after thousands of patients, and I have met many people who I know very well, who goes to his clinic and think that's the best place for treating diabetes. He's a scientist who published, as you can see, in Nature, countless papers in the best journals in the world. And he's an entrepreneur who runs a huge organization. I have absolutely no idea how he manages to run this and then write all these papers. And not crappy papers, but really top papers. So I think for students and for all of us, it is an inspiration. And it's a great honor to have him come and talk to us. And thank you, Dr. Mohan. Let me also thank the organizers who've done a lot of effort to have this done. Professor Padayatty, Center, George Thomas, the Department of Biotechnology, and also the Polymer Science Lab for lending us this auditorium. And with that, I conclude. Let me give a moment to Dr. Mohan. So thank you very much for coming.
Okay, with that we conclude the second Padayatty memorial lecture, and hopefully we will have a equally eminent speaker the next